Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Did anybody get rain yesterday?
Yes.
Okay. I just needed to hear that feedback because I didn't feel it. But if we can get a drop or two, we'll take it. I want you to notice on the slide, my team met at our huddle last week and they've set a date for the annual United Way treat sale. And it's a bake sale, it's a savory sale, and we've added a bonus. And Rusty and I kind of talked before the meeting. I don't know how popular it's going to be, but I might have a small amount of Cardinal memorabilia. And I've been reading this content book about getting rid of your stuff. So I've decided to go through this memorabilia and make it available for anybody who wants to take it. You just drop in $1 or $2 and it's yours. There's shirts, there's pet supplies, there's all kinds of things, cups, hats, just whatever you might want. So we've added that to our annual fundraiser for United Way. So come by our office. It's on the 29th. We kind of fill it through the lunch hour, so you can drop by during your lunch hour. And if you're a baker or you have your favorite snack, bring that by that morning. Let our team know that you've got something you want to bring by, and that will be your contribution to the event. So looking forward to that. Okay. So why great game? Does anybody know why Greene County plays a great game of government? Yes, sir.
So that everyone will be engaged and help us save money.
So that everyone will be engaged and help us save money. Step up to the podium.
It's one of those.
I've got a coffee gift card. I've got a cup. This is some kind of phone charger, and that's a ledger of some sort.
This is very nice.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody knows why we play the great game. Okay.
Was I right, by the way?
You are. Well, you can't be wrong. I mean, no. Okay. We want to know and teach the rules. We want to follow the action and keep score. Except if the Chiefs are playing on Sunday. I don't know what's going on there. Let's try to figure that out. Okay. Okay. And we can have a stake in the outcome. What is our stake in the outcome? It might have to do with what every person in the room gets paid. What we take home to our family. We have a stake in the outcome. Okay. If the county does better, if we serve our citizens better, we have a stake in the outcome. Okay. Great game started in 1983. Everyone knows the story about Jack Stack, and the company he was working for was about to go under, and he decided, well, I'll just buy the company and we'll make a go of it. So there's a lot of information out there about his story. We have a lending library in our office. It has many copies of the Great Game of Government, Great Game of Business, that you're welcome to check out. And there's a lot of leadership books and information that are really easy reads, okay? There's similarities between government and a private industry. We've got the same reasons to play. We want to do better. We want to do better for our customers or our citizens, okay? We have the same higher laws, okay? Does anybody in the room know my favorite higher law? Oh my gosh. The assessor's office is just, yes, sir.
You gotta want it.
You gotta want it. Step up here.
Do I want it? Okay.
You got it.
You gotta wanna. Oh, the phone charger.
Yeah.
Okay. You gotta wanna. Okay. That applies to everything, not just county government. You gotta wanna. Okay? The same myths about management. Okay. They're always talking about management. There's always whispers going on about management. It's the same thing. Okay. Getting the big picture, understanding the big picture, setting the standard. Okay. And if you get an email from me, that's one of my taglines, setting the standard. And we have the same barrier. And that's just not knowing, not understanding, ignorance. Okay. Our finances may seem a little archaic. We don't have a centralized financial structure. Everything's decentralized. Everyone's got an elected official or department head they report to. And so finances can sometimes be complicated, but that doesn't mean it can't work. That doesn't mean that if it doesn't work, that it can work in government, because it can. And we've proven that throughout the county. Okay. Every employee is given an opportunity to learn the finances. And we're expected to learn that. We're expected to understand what our budget is and what those budget line items mean. Okay. And we have a direct stake in the county's success. Okay. We've had this journey since 2011. We actually started playing the game in earnest in 2012 after we had done training in 2011. And you can see the pathway of where we are today. And you're a testament to that. You're in the room. We've got people remotely. We'll record it. People can watch it on YouTube after the fact. So we've really expanded what the Great Games journey has been. Okay. The financial dashboard is on the county website, and it talks about huddle education. Most all of the PowerPoints that are presented in our huddles are out there, so the information is available. And then we also created the transparency portal, and Bob was involved and other commissioners were involved in that. Very exciting to be able to show the county's revenue and expenditures on our website. The checkbook is updated nightly. So if the treasurer wrote checks yesterday, it would upload to last night, and it would be available for citizens to view that activity. So think about it. Do you have a process in your office that can be improved? Just one process. Who has one process in their office that can be improved? Shout it out. Come on now. Nobody has a process that can be improved? I know the assessor's office is trying not to raise their hand because they're monopolizing. Yes, ma'am.
Just maybe better signage so people aren't
Was better signage in our building. Come on up, young lady. We're getting narrowed down on our prizes here. We've got coffee, and a cup. So, all right, very good. Excellent. Better signage in our facilities. Now, don't think that it hasn't been noticed. It's been talked about, believe me. And how many of us are in our building, we're helping people direct where they need to go? Daily. We're doing that daily. What does the Great Game do? It helps people know where to go, how to succeed, get to the place you want to be at. Okay? So I suspect new signage will be in the pipeline after everybody gets settled. Because see, we got pieces still moving in the building. Okay. The assessor's office is soon to move back to their location. But then after the assessor's office, somebody else is going to be moving. So once all those dominoes settle, I bet you new signage is in the works. Is that right, Commissioner? Absolutely. So great suggestion. How is this communicated to our team? Well, the suggestion we just had is going to be an easy communication because you're going to see the signage. Yeah. But I think the point is how are we communicating these messages to our team? When we have a process that we'd like to improve, or a process that we'd like to change, or those kinds of things, are we communicating that effectively to the people that need to know that information? Whether it's our team, whether it's coworkers in another department, whether it's the public or the citizens. So think about the things that your office does and how those processes affect other teams. Okay. So if you change something in your process, how are you communicating to the other teams that that process has changed? Okay. Is that effective? Are we doing that effective? Oh, I didn't realize this was a special slide. Okay. Sharing the information through the organization. I get surprised on my own presentation. So are you sharing the information throughout the organization by the organization's center, or if we will, the top, out to the departments, out to the team, and then out to the individuals? Okay. Is that how the messaging typically occurs? Or is it more of the front line, the individuals providing the information to the team, to the department, and then to the organization center? There's no right or wrong. Okay. Both are effective, both are correct. But if we fail to do this part of it, if we fail to get the information from the individuals, we've missed the point. Okay? Because who best knows how to do the function, the task, than the people doing the work? Who knows better? Okay? So if we get information from the individuals, like the signage, thank you, that's what's going to swell up and be effective. Top down has to happen. We all understand that, but it really needs to start from the bottom up. Okay, so that's how we're receiving information. This does look like how we try to understand the county's finances. Yeah, it's a lot. Okay. So what we're going to try to do in future huddles is help define the terms. What do they mean? There are acronyms that get used a lot. We're going to try not to do that because we want to understand the terms, okay? We want to know the line items and the story behind the line items. Okay? And we want to understand who has direct impact on those. Okay? Taking ownership for those line items that we report on. Okay? So if in your department, you're responsible for ordering the office supplies from general services, you're the one. People come to you to order those supplies. Well, then you need to own that office supply line. Do you do that in your office? Oh, Rhonda does that. Okay. Rhonda, you were trying to shy away from that, but.
They looked at me and I looked at them.
Oh, okay. So it's the blank person sitting next to you. Yeah. So as an example, then you would take ownership for that line because that's what your responsibility is. You want to focus on what's critical to your operations. Okay? And for the longest time for Greene County, our critical number was cash. And to some degree, it still is. You know, it takes cash to manage an operation this large. But you also have to look in your department. What is a critical number for your department? You know, how many people come in and we process through personal property? You know, how many people do we service through general maintenance? You know, how many of the work order tickets did we get accomplished today that came through on general maintenance? Okay? There's all kinds of things that could apply to your department on focusing on what was critical for that day or that week. Okay? Plan for the future. We talk about high involvement planning. And high involvement planning is something that we encourage people to do. And what that means is the whole team is involved. Okay? The whole team is involved planning the future and seeing what the future holds. Okay? So at the county level, that means at the county level, everyone's involved. It's not just finance or those kinds of folks, everyone's involved. In your department, the same thing. Your whole team is involved in planning that future and being involved. We talk about what revenue is, where it comes from, and what categories we have in expenses. That's not any different than the great game, although we don't have bonuses. It's the Constitution of Missouri, so we can't do that. We don't have profit because we don't make a profit. We collect enough revenue in order to provide the needs and services that are expected from us, from our taxpayers. When we're talking about the numbers, the finances, you always want to keep it simple, okay? Always keep it simple. Don't talk about, accruals or prepaids or anything like that. Keep it simple, okay? Tell the facts, identify if something's not right, offer a solution, provide feedback, okay? So if you're looking at a number and you're like, that doesn't look right to me, okay? Ask that question. That doesn't look right. You're not questioning the person, you're questioning the number, okay? It's a very important distinction that you're not questioning the person, it's just the number, okay? And appraise the process. When something's working well, hey, that's great, great job, thank you. That worked well, we did well as a team. One of the concepts that we talk about is the difference between open book management and open book reporting, okay? So when we think about that, open book management is the management of open book. Open book reporting is the reporting of the information that's being shared. And that information is how you succeed. It's how you do well in that process, okay? So one of the taglines that Jack uses quite frequently is knowing the score is one thing, but changing the score is everything, okay? So it's okay to know the score, but how can I impact and change the score? What can I do to move that needle? What can I do to improve that score? I would like to update this slide, but this is the one that Jack likes to use. Fans know the score, but the players change the score, okay? Fans know the score, but the players actually change the score. It's not the coaches, it's not the ownership, it's the players. And guess who are the players in this room? Exactly, you are. Exactly. You are the players that change the score. So what works for Greene County? This weekly huddle that we have, it's a huddle rhythm. We talk about departmental education. You learn about community partners that we are engaged in. It's all kinds of things where education can occur, okay? We also have our huddle minute that goes out, kind of letting you know what's going to happen this week, what happened last week, and what might be happening in future weeks. So it kind of keeps you updated each week. It gives you links to where you can go find this content. And so there's a lot that's working for Greene County, and we have consistency with that. Now we're right in the middle of starting budget season, and everybody has turned in their budgets. And thank you all very much for getting that done. I know the budget office appreciates that. But there's an art to kind of figuring out what those budget requests needs to look like, okay? We basically have data, which is going to be current year data, prior year data, a 3-year history, 5-year history. We have data that we can look at, okay? And then we're going to make assumptions based on that data. And then we're going to determine how frequent does something occur. Okay? So if we take data, add our assumptions, multiply that times the frequency, we're going to get better forecasting. Okay. And all assumptions are not going to be 100% correct because they're an assumption. But if we consistently use this formula, our accuracy for forecasting is going to continue to improve. Okay. So you may not have been directly involved with your budget projections and the forecasting, but believe me, you are a part of a line item somewhere. Okay. How many positions do we have? You know, how much are we going to spend in training and education? You know, you are still a part of all of those decision making. So the data that we rely on is important. Who are we getting it from? How frequently are we getting it? When are we getting it? So it's important to have information that we can rely on, and so we can make better assumptions. Okay? And what do we learn? If we've got data that we've learned from, that's the best course of action. Because I'm notorious for saying you can't succeed without failure. Okay? If you haven't experienced failure, you're not going to succeed. You may succeed for a very long time, and then all of a sudden, if you stub your toe, you are down in the dirt because you don't know how to fail and then overcome and succeed. And I tell this story quite frequently, so you may have heard it. But in 1985, I was sent by my boss to go to Atlanta to study for the CPA exam. And it was an intensive study course. And it was in the fall, late summer, early fall. I told my boss, I said, if the Cardinals make it to the World Series, I'm coming home. And my boss said, yes, Cindy, that'd be fine. Well, the Cardinals made it to the World Series, and guess what? I didn't get to come home. I had to watch in a hotel lobby bar on the screens. And needless to say, going into that series, there was no way that the Cardinals were going to lose that World Series. Look at that on paper. Look at those stats on paper. There was absolutely no way. So you can imagine my devastation when that wasn't realized. And I'm stuck in Atlanta studying for the CPA exam. But what I learned an extremely valuable lesson in my early career, and I'm grateful for it today, is it took me months to recover, literally, because in my mind, there was no way we could lose. But once I figured out, you know, if you're going to win, you've got to be able to learn how to lose. That was probably the best lesson I learned. It was painful because we did it to ourselves. If anybody remembers 1985, we did it to ourselves.
Yeah.
No, that you may say that the umpire had something to do with it, but he did not. He is part of the game, and he made his call. We could have finished that game. We didn't have to punch our fist through a television set. We could have come back the next day and won.
Twitter is just passion.
Yeah, can you tell it's still a little sensitive? But that's the exact point. Learn from those. That's how you learn. That's how you improve. Okay? And I'm not afraid to tell the story about myself, because that's how we learn. If someone stands up here and they're perfect, guess what? They are not. And I'm not either. But I learned an extremely valuable lesson, and it was painful. So now people say, oh, the Cardinals. You know, I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, it happens. Yeah. Okay, so take that back to your workplace, knowing that it's okay to fail because that's how you succeed. Okay? When we're doing forecasting, we're eliminating surprises. Okay. So if we're thinking ahead, we're being proactive with our decision making. We're not waiting for something to happen to us and then trying to figure out what to do. We're thinking ahead. We're encouraging people to think ahead. If we do this, what's the result? Okay, what's the cause and effect? If we do this, what's the result? And it gives us a lot of good education about Greene County. Okay. And forecasting can sometimes create a sense of urgency. Hey, we need to act now. You know, we need to look ahead. We're looking ahead and we need to act on that now. Here's a high involvement plan. It's probably a little bit difficult to read, but when we talk about SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, if we're looking at Greene County, what boxes are we trying to be in and what things are we trying to solve? Okay. And so this is an exercise that we used to do in high involvement planning. It's a still good exercise for people to do within their offices when they're trying to figure out where they need to go, what direction they need to head. Okay. And once you start filling out those boxes, it kind of will help you give direction of what you want to do, where you want to lead, and how you want to go. Okay. The beautiful thing about high involvement planning is creating a line of sight from where you are and where you want to go. Okay. Where are you trying to head? And then what drivers are you going to try to use to get there? Okay. So if you're heading to a destination and you've never been there before, how many people get out their Google Maps or whatever to kind of get, hey, what's the best route, or how do I avoid highways, or, you know, can I take the scenic route? You know, we all have to find the right drivers to get there, okay? Because otherwise we're not going to get to our destination. That's the same with some of the decision making that we do. The commission is extremely involved in capturing information in order to find where it is we need to go and what is the best driver to get there. Okay. And they spend an exorbitant amount of time trying to do that on our behalf. So the better information that you provide the commission, the better resources they're going to have. Okay. And many of you know the story of why we started the Great Game, because we weren't recovering from the 2009 effects of the downturned economy. We weren't recovering. And so it was like, well, now what do we do next? And we were all looking to each other to figure out what we do next. So having good information is extremely valuable, because in that year when we started Great Game, you know, people were still budgeting, forecasting what their budget was. So if I had budgeted X dollars, that's what I forecasted. Had departments forecasted more accurately during that time, the commission would have had information to allow for an increase in salary for the first time in 6 years. So another pain point was we didn't realize until afterwards that the forecast was not very accurate, and had the commission been armed with that information, they could have given raises sooner. Okay. To the commission's credit, once the numbers were known, they stopped. They gave the increase, I believe it was in October of that year, instead of waiting till the next budget year. To the commission's credit, with the information, armed with that information, they were able to act. Okay. So again, the information that we're providing to the decision makers is critical, whether it's the decision makers in your office or the decision makers as a county as a whole. So I am running out of time, and so I'm going to stop right here. And I knew I had more slides than I could talk about, because, you know, I could make a half-day session on this. So give me an example of what you are doing in your department to further the education about open book management, what you're doing. How many people in the room have department huddles? Okay. And what happens at those department huddles? Anybody? Yes, LA.
Updates on our tasks, what processes we're doing, what stage we are with cross-training. So we just, everybody sits around and discusses where you are, and if anybody needs help, then there's an open forum.
Okay, so LA was talking about processes, where we are in our processes, where we are in cross training, what things needs to happen in order to further those endeavors. Are there sections of the team that need help? Are there areas of the team that LA, come on up. We've got 2 things left: coffee and a mug. Okay, one other. What are you doing in your department? Yes, Brent.
So we have multiple huddles, so we have it at the division level, then we have management, middle, all of our management team, then we have the upper management level huddles. We have those either bi-weekly or weekly or once a month. And part of the upper level ones, we look at them, so look at how many phone calls have we taken, how many parcels have we touched, walk through our door, how many, all these different matrices, so we
Mhm.
help plan better by seeing what we can do to shift staff around, or how we can budget better in the future, or how can we improve with new equipment or technology. And then when it comes down to the employee level, we look at different processes, they work on different objectives, they work on different things. And we started some kind of new and personal property where I've asked where every employee will lead one of those once a week. So somebody different leading those meetings. So that way they all get an opportunity to be the teacher as well.
I love that. So for those online, if we couldn't capture that, I'm going to try to capture that really quickly. That you've got huddles at all levels, and they appear periodically, can be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. So you've got different folks involved. You've got a full team huddle. You also have members of the team that each direct those huddles, so they're getting that experience. And you're sharing the data. The critical thing that I heard in that was you're sharing the data in order to make decisions where resources are needed, how we can help the team as a whole. So when you're sharing that data that's compiled, that's the beauty of what Great Game is all about. So I know I've run over just a couple minutes. I appreciate your attention today. Thank you very much. And Brent, we have one coffee gift card for you.